Indiana football, one winning season since 1994, one bowl appearance since 1993, and we thought everybody made bowl games. And so the Big Ten is going to help you out, IU, by moving Michigan and Michigan State into your division during this realignment. And you also have to deal with newcomers Maryland and Rutgers, not exactly powerhouses of college football, but at the same time, they're ahead of you in the building process. MarkRogersTV continuing our series looking at every Power 5 conference schedule. We've gone through the SEC. We're making our way through the Big Ten Conference. We've looked at Maryland, Rutgers. Now we make our way to the Hoosiers, trying to get Indiana to a bowl game. It might be difficult once again in 2014. So the Hoosiers play that one tough game we're looking for everybody to play, regardless of status in college football. If you play in a Power 5 conference, we would love for you to play one other Power 5 conference team, preferably a very difficult game. And is really two asking for a whole lot? Well, in Indiana case, yes, it is. But they've got the game at Missouri. So last season, the Tigers went to the SEC championship game and visited the Hoosiers in Bloomington and took care of them rather easily, scored 45 points in the game. Indiana, with the offense, with the passing game, hung in there against Michael Sam and Marcus Golden and all that talent. E.J. Gaines on that Missouri Tiger team scored 28 points and stayed within one or two scores, but couldn't get the job done against Mizzou. We didn't know at that point how good Mizzou was, but then they took care of the likes of Georgia and on down the line in the SEC and won the Cotton Bowl. So it's a series with Missouri that I like a whole lot. There is a regional flavor to a certain extent. Mizzou and Indiana. This time the Hoosiers have to go to Mizzou in week 3. Before that, it's Indiana State and it's Bowling Green. So the Bowling Green game is pivotal. Indiana State, the Hoosiers hung like 73 on them last season. So the Sycamores should be win number 1. And then Bowling Green, a date on the road for a Big Ten team against a MAC team. Doesn't happen a whole bunch, but happens from time to time. So Indiana is going to be tested against Bowling Green, a team that won quite a few games last season. And boy, that's going to be a tough one on the road for IU right there. But they've got to win that one, definitely. If they want to go bowling, they've got to beat the inferior teams on the schedule, especially non-conference. So Mizzou's game number 3, they should be 2-0 at that point. Their other non-conference game after a date against Maryland is against North Texas. So we would project that IU goes 3-1 non-conference. Man, that would be great if they stole one against Missouri on the road, but just don't see that happening. So 3-1 non-conference. Worst case scenario is 2-2 if Bowling Green trips them up on the road. All right, the Big Ten schedule shapes up like this. Of course, just like the SEC, the Big Ten plays the in-division games, and then they play 2 designated non-conference or non-division games that rotate. IU's special, though. The Big Ten has noted that IU-Purdue rivalry because they broke it up in terms of division play, but they have protected that rivalry. So unlike the SEC, where everybody's matched up with a cross-division rival, in the Big Ten, it's simply rotational. Except IU and Purdue on the last day of the season. I think this is a great move by the Big Ten in preserving that one rivalry. That's the one rivalry that makes sense in terms of cross-division. The other ones would make no sense and would just be designating opponents just to uphold the IU-Purdue rivalry. That's what the SEC's done. They want to preserve Bama, Tennessee. They want to preserve Georgia, Auburn. Then they make these other ones up. They shouldn't do that. They would create better games and a better rotation of opponents if they would just protect Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn, and not the rest of these crazy quote-unquote rivalries. That's what the Big Ten did. The Big Ten got this right. The other thing the Big Ten's getting right in 2016 is 9 conference games. At the same time, let's stick with Indiana 2014. And importantly, what we were getting to are those non-division games. So they've got arguably, the SEC is going to jump on me here, arguably the best division in college football. I don't think it is, but it could be a case made for the Eastern Division of the Big Ten with Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State. We'll see how good Maryland is. That's going to be key. Right now, I would consider this off the top of my head the second best division in college football, possibly the third behind the SEC Eastern Division. All right, but still, no favors for IU from the Big Ten in getting Michigan State thrown in its division as well. But the other non-division opponent for IU's Iowa on the road. So that's a difficult game. So they've got Iowa and Purdue in the other division. So I'm trying to come up with wins for Indiana to make it to postseason play at 6-6, and it's difficult. So we've got them at 3-1, hopefully non-conference. Then after that, it's really tough. Maryland at home, Iowa on the road, Michigan State at home, at Michigan, Penn State at home, at Rutgers, at Ohio State, and Purdue. Well, they've got to beat Purdue. Purdue's the worst team in the Big Ten, certainly was last year. Purdue's one of the worst Power 5 teams in play right now. Going into 2014, Darrell Hazel with much to work on in West Lafayette. So they got to beat Purdue. They've got to win at Rutgers. That's not going to be easy. The Scarlet Knights are typically a bowl team. Excuse me. After that, we're looking at they're an underdog in every game. They may pull off an upset as they did last season against Penn State at home, but this time they've got to go to State College. Other than that, it's going to be extremely difficult. Maryland's at home in the Big Ten opener. They could possibly beat the Terps. But let's say realistically, they beat Purdue and they split against Maryland and Rutgers. That gets us to 5 wins, 3 non-conference, 2 in the Big Ten. You got to get one other W, and it's going to come tough against Ohio State, Michigan State, and Penn State, and Iowa. Got to steal a big win against a huge favorite for IU to go bowling in 2014. Our look at the Hoosiers is they probably go 4-8, possibly 5-7 coming up this fall. Would love to hear from you on Mark Rogers TV.